everybody, Riyad here from Love Amplified. Hope you're doing well today. What's your blind spot? Do you know you have them? I think by their nature, blind spots are blind to us. That's why they're called blind spots. But very often we can become aware of what they are, and in becoming more aware of what they are, they affect us less and less. But I think our blind spots come about because of the specialities that we become, the experts in our field, our chosen field, or what we become good at. And because we become experts and specialists, we tend to have a very one-dimensional view of the world. We see everything in terms of our expertise, in terms of the filter that we see through. So if you're a lawyer, that's the filter you would see everything through. If you're a doctor, if you're a IT specialist, you see the world from that expertise. And usually speaking, the world you see is colored by the filter. So very often, when my wife is really angry at me, she'll say, "Stop being a coach, be a husband." And I can relate to that, because being a coach, that is often my blind spot. And I see everything through that lens. And I think when you become really aware and really powerful in the kind of observer that you are, you begin to take off all of these different hats. You remove all of these filters. And I think then you start to see things for what they are. And you begin to see things completely differently as a result of that. So maybe it's an important thing to recognize that you have blind spots, firstly, and they affect how you see, they affect what it is that you observe and how you interpret what it is that you observe. I mean, if you're a specialist of the big toe on your right foot, and that's your area of expertise, and I know it's an extreme, but anything that happens in the body will be seen through that lens, in terms of that very specialist view of the world called the body. And that's all you ultimately begin to see, and then the rest of it that falls out of that purview becomes a massive blind spot for you. So this is for you to start to look at what is your filter, what is the blind spot or multiple blind spots that you have. I think the more you become a generalist, the more you're able to zoom out and see bigger pictures, but also have the ability to zoom right into the minutiae, to the real detail, the micro level, and all of the different levels in between, from macro, complete global perspective, universal perspective, right down to the micro view, because each one has their own limitation, each one has their own blind spot. And I generally think of myself as a big picture person, and sometimes the detail escapes me and can be to my detriment. But then I see how other people get caught up in the minutiae, in the detail, and lose complete sight of the big picture. So it is simply for you to have the awareness of what is the level of observer that you are, and are the other levels, because other levels exist. Are those other levels blind to you? And how can you make them more available to you? How can you build in the fact that you see the world a certain way, and the way you see it is not the only way the world exists. There are multiple, infinite number of ways. We have an assessment as an organization that you can take, and there's a free one available on our website if you want to go check it out. It's called an Attributes Index. And what it ultimately comes down to is, are you a head person, meaning you see everything through strategy, through analysis, and there's nothing intrinsically wrong with that. It's just great for you to understand that that becomes a blind spot. The second one is, are you a hand person? Are you practical? Are you doing, action orientated? So yeah, strategy and planning is all good and well, but you want to get in and get your hands dirty. And you can get frustrated with people who go into analysis mode, and you really just want to get on with the job. And then are you a hard person, where strategy is important and doing the job is important, but are we taking care of people? Are we looking after the softer side? Are we aware of the emotional space we're in? Now, all of us are a combination of all of those three, but we do have our defaults. We do, especially in a stressed situation, a high velocity situation, we will default to what comes more naturally to us. And then the rest of it becomes a blind spot. So I've had a couple of coaching sessions today with different people, informally, just chatting. And it occurred to me how many of us get caught up in our blind spots, how we cannot see the wood for the trees. And in doing that, in having this filter, okay, it precludes a whole host of options and possibilities that are available to us. And a coach's job often is to point out the blind spot, is to reveal or get the client to begin to see that they have blind spots, acknowledge them, and then to shift to what we call shift the observer that you are. And suddenly, when you become a new observer, you see a whole new world, and that opens up all kinds of different possibilities. But you can do this for yourself. You can begin to see how you get caught up in seeing the world only in one way, and in seeing the world only in that one way, that specialist, that very specific, very narrow way sometimes, that you miss out on everything that lies outside of that framework. And that limits your options, it limits opportunity, it limits possibility. You see yourself often through a certain lens, through certain filters, and in not being able to see the whole of you, you preclude the possibility of what you really are and what's possible for you. So this is just a reminder to open up your eyes, to take off the different specialist hats that you wear, to remove the filters so that more becomes available to you. And when more is available to you, the landscape changes completely. And suddenly you see things that weren't there for you before. So open your eyes. Thank you again, and I'll check you out tomorrow. Ciao.